just wait for Stan to hop on. I mean, not Stan. I'm sorry, Bruce.
I am on.
That's what happens when you look at a name and then you say somebody else's name.
Well, that happens a lot more as you get older, too.
This is true.
Hi, Bruce.
All right, Tyler is on. So on that note, then we will come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an interesting little echo thing going on, I noticed. You'll have to let me know if that becomes a distraction to anybody.
All right, Dr. Oh, I'm sorry. First, Mrs. Petke, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Holman,
Here.
Mr. Seeger,
Here.
Mr. Scheller, Mr. Scheller, are you on?
Here.
Yay. Mrs. Petke here. Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson,
I am here. Thank you. Dr. Aber, can you verify publication of the meeting, please?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. All right, item 5A, unfinished review updates to district-wide school reopening plan. If you would, please, Dr. Aber.
So as promised last week, anytime we alter anything about this, want to bring it to your attention. Nothing substantive. I did rearrange a couple of slides because it made a little more sense. So our key performance indicators is now number 5. I moved it up toward the front. It just made more sense. And then when we got to the learning slides, I put learning in orderly environment for each school, one right after the other. They were separated before. The learning was in one area and orderly environment was in another. And it seemed a little disjointed. So it made a lot more sense when they were pasted together. Then moving on a little bit further, here on, this was the slide about situational base coverings. So the question at the top is the same. I just took out our previous district language and pasted in the governor's order and the press release and the governor's frequently asked questions document. So those are actually, the blue ones are actually live links to those documents. So I changed that. And then previously here was a description of how to, what qualified per the CDC as a mask. I actually did a cut and paste from the CDC for this slide because I thought it was a bit more precise than, but it doesn't really change anything, just a little better quality. And then moving on from there. We had several questions regarding our backpack safe in the classroom, and that came from social media. So this doesn't change what you approved, but I did go back and I thought it would probably be important to describe some of the procedures occurring in the classroom to make people feel more comfortable about having backpacks in the classroom. So one of them was, could students be bringing unsafe things into the school environment in their backpack, such as weapons or drugs as examples? And so addressing that specifically, if they're in the classroom, excuse me, hanging on the back of a student's chair and they're open, they're in the backpack to get their Chromebook out, they're in to get a textbook, they're putting something back in, they're open, and as the teacher is using proximity control, which all of our teachers have been trained to do that, they are actively going to be able to see if there's something in that backpack. So it's going to be, in my opinion, much harder to conceal what's in the backpack than to have a backpack enclosed in a locker. Then there was a question about, can there be canine searches of backpacks? We don't do canine searches of people, but let's say everyone's out at a fire drill or it's recess or they're gone to a special or something like that. A canine search could occur during that time, so the backpacks are on the back of a chair in an empty room and they could do their normal sweep. So it is still possible with appropriate planning to be able to conduct a canine search as has been done in the past. And then the other concern was back injuries. And so just reiterating that, like, the young child will be carrying their backpack in, hanging it on the back of their classroom chair, and they really aren't going to need to move it throughout the day until it's time to go home at the end of the school day. Yes, we do want to be sensitive to those little ones carrying those heavy backpacks. So they're not going to be carrying it more than what they were carrying it previously, when they would carry it to their locker, leave it there for the day, and then pick it up on the way home. The difference is now it'll be hanging on the back of their chair. So I don't know if you had any questions on the backpack safety that I added. Otherwise, the remainder of the slides are the same as those you had previously seen. I will back up to fall sports. The CWC is meeting again tomorrow. I don't know if that's going to lead to any changes, but it might. I did see today in the AWSA News that 3 of the conferences have decided not to conduct fall sports. I think they're postponing to the spring, but the article wasn't entirely clear about exactly what they're all doing, just that they weren't having them in the fall. One of the questions the conference is taking up is whether or not there will be spectators at fall sports. And mostly just because of the complexity of all the expectations. So that is a question that's being taken up tomorrow by the CWC. I'll pause there in case you have any questions or concerns.
I believe Mr. Holman is trying to talk.
I couldn't tell.
You're muted, Russ.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was trying to talk, but I was muted. I'm wondering if, with the new executive order, will it still allow our students to take their mask off in the classroom if they're more than 6 feet away from anyone? Or is it mandated
No,
they have to have them on all the time now?
all the time.
and we don't really have a choice there.
We don't, which is why I did go to hope you're not making you dizzy with all this going back and forth, but I think I have to be in present mode. It's why I linked to the frequently asked questions document, because it does go into a bit of greater detail about the expectations. I was on the statewide superintendent's meeting, we call that the WASDA group. Mike Thompson, assistant superintendent, as was John Bales, the WASDA executive. And I do believe there may be even more detailed information coming out for schools later this week and perhaps into next week. They're working on a lot of different guidance, but right now we're using the governor's Q&A document.
Do you think if the weather is nice, I mean, it's going to be good for a couple months, that maybe we can try to get a class outside, every once in a while, just to let these kids separate and take their masks off? I mean, something to think about. I was just trying to give them the option so they're not sitting in class all day with that mask on.
Mm-hmm. There are some really nice opportunities in our curriculum. I know we had to move a couple of the garden beds, but outside my office, we have the school garden, and that's part of the science curriculum because they do plants and insects, and so there is the growing of plants and the observation. So that's an opportunity to go out and do things with some plantings, which more of a spring activity. We have the school forest, and it's always encouraged to go out and, again, talk about forestation issues, talk about the natural environment. They might go out and look for different kinds of leaves or look for different kinds of insects. So depending on the grade level, we've got some beautiful natural environments. And of course, we're right next to the walking trail into the woods. So physical education could even go out and walk the track. So there are just lots of nice things that kids could do outdoors. And now we have the vacant lot. Hopefully that grass will come in a little thicker and we'll tamp down the weeds a little bit. So there are places for classes even to go outside and take their books and have a quiet reading time outside. So we are encouraging creativity and looking for things to do. As I was arriving at the school this morning, summer school was going on, and there was a class outside with their Chromebooks, which was nice to see. They were sitting in a shaded area and looked to be pretty content.
Okay. Was there anything further on that, or are we ready to move on to our new business?
Move on for me.
Okay. All right, we will move on then. New business item A, consider endorsement of Waupaca County Public Health Letter.
So Jed Wout put this together and ran it past all the county superintendents. So all of our logos are on there, and I'll enlarge the actual text so that you can see it. This has not gone out yet. Electronically, we sent signatures so they could all be pasted together. But again, I wouldn't send something out on behalf of the district without you first having a look at it and having conversation if you're comfortable about it.
You know, in the Bolden one, it looks to me like they're not saying you have to wear a mask, but just saying you should wear one when you're within that 6-foot proximity. So what you're going off of is Evers' proclamation, not the county public health recommendation for the having to wear a mask in school.
Correct. Right now, Governor Evers' order would override other local expectations, I guess you could call them. You can be more strict. For example, even a district, we can, as a school board, you could decide to be more strict than the governor's order, but you can't do less.
Additionally, Dr. Opper, if I recall, Jed drafted this prior to the order going into place as well. So this was drafted last week. I believe you shared it with me maybe Wednesday, and the executive order wasn't announced until I think Thursday.
Right. The county superintendents with Jed Woet, the reason we thought it might still be helpful to send something like this out would be part of the educational campaign and trying to solicit the support of the whole community to help, that it's helpful to us to do these things. And if we want to successfully reopen schools face to face, the more we can flatten the curve and get the incident rates down, the better it would be for everyone. So in general, the thinking was that the letter was still a good idea. What are your thoughts on that?
Essentially, that'll still leave us open for September 28th or whatever when Evers' thing is done too. So I think that's great. I mean, gives us options.
Yeah, I think it looks as good as well. I don't have any suggestions.
We would, of course, need a motion.
Are you looking for a motion to release this public health?
It would be a motion to endorse it.
I can make the motion to approve the endorsement of the Waupaca County Public Health Letter.
I have a motion by Mrs. Pecky. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by
Russ
Mr. Holman.
Holman.
Any discussion? Okay, we do have to do a roll call vote because we are virtual. Mr. Holman,
Aye.
Mr. Seeger,
Aye.
Mr. Scheller,
Aye.
Mr. Forbes,
Aye.
Mrs. Pecky,
Aye.
and it is an aye for Mrs. Johnson as well. Motion carries on a roll call vote. Item B, consider approval of summer school staffing for school year 1920 as presented.
And we apologize that this is a little later than you normally receive it. Usually in April, in a normal year when summer school's in June, you approve the summer school booklet, usually around March or April. And in that booklet would be a list of all your staff, what they're teaching. And from that, the rates are set and the contracts are issued. And so This year, you didn't get your traditional summer school booklet the way you normally would. So Mr. Keller and Ms. Eck have created the spreadsheet for you to approve the staff that are working summer school this year.
So we would need a motion to approve the staffing.
I make a motion to approve the summer school staffing as stated.
I have a motion by Mr. Holman. Do I have a second?
I second Stan Forbes.
Second by Mr. Forbes. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Holman,
Aye.
Mr. Seeger,
Aye.
Mr. Scheller,
Aye.
Mr. Forbes,
Aye.
Mrs. Pecky,
Aye.
and it is an aye from Mrs. Johnson as well. Motion carries. Next meeting dates. Today, immediately following this one, is the Policy and Human Resources Committee. August 17th is the regular board meeting, 7 o'clock. August 18th is Curriculum Committee at 6:30. August 19th is Buildings and Grounds at 5:30. August 25th is the Ad Hoc Recognition Committee at 5, and the 25th of August is also the Finance Committee at 5:30. All meetings are being held virtually currently. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to
Scheller.
Okay, Mr. Holman coming in first with that motion. Do I have a second?
Bruce Scheller, I'll second that motion.
Okay, second by Mr. Scheller. Any discussion? Again, by roll call vote, Mr. Holman,
Aye.
Mr. Seeger,
Aye.
Mr. Scheller,
Aye.
Mr. Forbes,
Aye.
Mrs. Petke,
Aye.
and Mrs. Johnson is an aye as well. Motion carries at 5:23 p.m. And those interested in the policy meeting, it starts at 5:30. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Russ, for volunteering your time for hunter safety.
You're welcome. Luke, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you going to